flavored air.
It feels like drugs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sydney. Welcome to the Forbidden Cities, a Keeper of the Lost Cities podcast where Jaycie and I talk about Keeper of the Lost Cities books, theories, characters, ships, and more.
Oh, and then my note is back on, for me, it's 167. Oh, okay. Okay, her announcement. She goes, "Good morning, prodigies." I don't know why I
I picture her with a British accent, too.
Oh, okay, good. First and foremost, whoever put a regrod in my desk over the weekend will. It's not funny. She's not. That's a terrible Alina voice, but it's fine. Anyway, her eyes narrowed. Mark my words, whoever it was will be punished to the fullest extent of my abilities.
That's right, and she eventually finds out it was Keith.
Yes,
and
and
it's
so
just
I just wrote down, I love the subtle nod to Keith, even before we meet Keith, when Dame Alina mentions the regrod in her desk.
And then, like, way later in the same book, you find out it was him, and you're like, whoa.
That's a good little hint.
I love it.
Yeah, it develops Alina's character, develops Keith's character before you even meet him, and is a good little thing. I love it.
Another time that I die of embarrassment is whenever Jinsey walks up. Whoa, I'm Jinsey. You have really weird eyes. Cool. Anyway, so everyone wants to talk to you, but they're all afraid. So I decided to show them how it's done. Thanks. See, I told you she'd be nice. And he like turned around and proclaimed it to everyone. It was always just like, I would literally die just on the spot. I'd be like, nope. Guess the series is over.
Stuff here.
We can come back because I'm gonna go back through basically.
Yeah, same.
And then 170. Why do they all talk at the same time? The Drooly Dudes. All of them talk at the same time.
At this point, I'm 6 pages ahead of you, I think.
172. Why would they even make that food? She took a bite of a small green puffy ball and felt her lips pucker. It tasted like sour licorice soaked in lemon juice. You're elves. You make mallow melt and like Ripple Fluffs. Why on earth would you make black licorice soaked in lemon juice?
I love how it's so weird, like these random weird things, but also at the same time so proper.
Yeah.
It's very unique.
I would just puffy green ball, sour licorice soaked in lemon juice. And Sophie's like identifying these foods. I'd taste something and be like, I don't know what that is, but I'm never touching my mouth with that again.
Sour licorice.
And then, am I the only one who's kind of terrified of Jinsey's energy? Like, I know someone kind of like that in real life, and I'm just kind of scared of
Oh,
him.
I know someone just like that. And he's great, but like, yeah.
177. I should get started on my homework, Fitz said after a second. He smiled, and her heart did that fluttery thing again. Just wanted to check on you. I'll see you tomorrow? Sure. Oh, nice to meet you, Deck. He added with a hasty nod as he walked away. It's Dex, he growled. What is up with you? She whispered. Me? Nice to meet you, Deck. Iconic. That's my only comment. Iconic.
Yes.
Then, let's see. Oh, wait.
She fought off her smile.
Okay, and then Sydney...
Okay, wait, here's a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
He repeated in an uncanny impersonation of Fitz's precise
sweet
accent.
Jack.
Yeah, no, but uncanny, kind of like...
Oh, so it's like close to his?
No, I'm talking about how...
Wait.
Okay.
Oh, we'll get to that, yeah.
Well, we won't get to that.
Well...
Just...
yeah, from the word Keith.
Think about the uncanny and Keith.
I mean...
Like, I bet that's just a world-building mistake, though, because she didn't really know exactly...
Dex probably just had heard the Vacker accent a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one is 8 pages later, so do that math.
Honestly, I feel like I can see a little bit how Keith was thrown in at the end, but then in Exile, it's like he's totally meant to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Book 1, it's like, there are
He's
lots
there.
Mm-hmm.
He's not important.
He's there. I can see how there are mistakes she made with throwing Keith in at the last minute versus later in, like that.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of divvied off Keith's... I feel like she put Keith's characteristics in other people before she had a place for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that little thing with Dex, and then the Fitz being cocky earlier.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, and then for after this,
once Keith is introduced, it's like, and I have a place to put these little comments that my brain makes. That makes sense.
And then in Exile from then on, it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. So 8 pages later, you can do that math for whatever your book is.
Okay, I am 8 pages later? That's what I said,
flip
right?
8 pages forward. That's my next note.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
When Grady's talking to Sophie and step back, Grady locked his legs as something big
perfect.
and green with iridescent wings circled above, then dived straight down. Sophie screamed and jumped out of the way seconds before a vulture-sized insect landed where she'd been saying. Fast forwarding, blown up to gargantuan proportions is a whole other story. A dragonfly with disco eyes I promise that will haunt my nightmares
Okay,
forever.
are you ready for this?
Okay.
Shannon's note.
No. What did she say?
This is another creature I didn't invent. It's amazing how much you can learn when you Google giant prehistoric bugs. Side note, I recommend doing that right before bed. So apparently they existed, according to scientists, you know.
No.
I love how you said that right before I read her note. Another creature I didn't invent. Aren't you glad you live now?
Yeah. Continuing. 10 pages later, exactly. From where
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
you
10.
can just look at the page number and add 10, you know.
8. Moving on.
Another iconic moment. Don't, Lady Galvin shouted, rushing forward to stop her a second too late. The liquid fizzed and rumbled, and the sticky gray jelly exploded all over her cape.
Oof.
And then she has to go to the healing center.
Have you seen this?
Are you ready?
Oh,
and
sorry.
the iconic moment, you must be lost.
Yes. Oh, you need to hear Shannon's note here, and then also look at this. Look at the pretty art.
That's really good.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Honestly,
that was great.
get the annotated
She's just
edition. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then, under I'm Keith, she has it underlined, and then she said, it's a super long note. Do you want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm, like, giving away the annotated edition, but I'm skipping over more of her notes than I'm reading. Okay. I always call Keith the gift the story gave me. She said this when I met her, I remember. Because this scene and his character were things I didn't actually plan. In my original outline, I cut straight from the alchemy session to the healing center, but the draft was feeling a little bland and forced, so I decided to change things up and just write every step of Sophie's journey, which meant she got completely lost and needed someone to help her. So I thought, what if there's a boy ditching class? And instantly, I could picture this blonde boy sprawled across a bench, smirking at her, and typed up the scene, which barely changed after I wrote it. The only real difference is that he has a name now. The first version, I just called him the boy. And the Keeper world has never been the same since. Yeah.
So it begins. Anyway.
That's cool that he just, like, popped in her head.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
We've had characters like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like my character.
3 pages later, after the "you must be lost" comment, exactly 3 pages. So add your numbers. I mean, and you'll have to skip an extra page because the picture I think is in the middle for you.
Yep.
But 198 for me.
Oh. I have
it?
one on this page too.
Oh, he said, she's like, you're gonna laugh at me, and he goes, probably. I'm like, I know people like that. She goes, yeah, it's 1 extra page for you because of the picture, so it's gonna be
I thought
4
it
pages.
did that.
You're going to laugh at me, probably. He clearly wasn't going to let it go, so she kept her eyes glued to the floor. Hey, I get another luster! Her eyes are glued to the floor. I accidentally exploded the serum I was making. And right on cue, he burst into laughter. I love that. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to laugh at you. And he's like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, okay, it is the right page. Anyway, yeah. Uh-huh.
Is your note on this page, or is it a different
Yes,
one?
it is. And then... Is it on this page?
Is it where he's saying, I'd be playing it up for sympathy and stuff?
Where's where he says something about attention?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
He studied for it for a second, then shook his head. Wow, most girls would be crying about a win for that. Most guys, too. Even I'd be playing it up for sympathy and stuff.
No, not that. I must have put it on the wrong page because it was kind of hard with the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
One sec. It's right... Oh, here it is. Okay. It's actually 203 for me, so 2 pages before. So we have the iconic interaction. I'm Keith, Sophie, but I'm sure you already know that. He laughed. Don't judge my voices. I don't do good voices, but you may be the biggest muse to hit the academy since the Great Gullen incident 3 years ago, which, by the way, I had nothing to do with.
Iconic.
He flashed a slightly wicked smile, but that's not a bad thing. Personally, I've always enjoyed being the center of attention. So I wrote down, the first thing Keith says is, I like being the center of attention, versus Sophie wants to run from attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she literally says in the very beginning when we meet her, like,
She
didn't want to draw,
too much attention.
yeah, she wanted to draw as
Her
little
parents.
attention as possible. And so it's just funny to me how there's that immediate opposite
Immediate contrast, yeah.
contrast.
And this is why I ship Dex and Cena.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah. But the first thing, like, literally, one of the first sentences he says to her after, you must be lost, is, I love being the center of attention. And
Cannot
she's like,
relate.
do not put me in the center of attention. So.
And then, for me, where he says probably that page, add forward to that, whatever it is for you. For me, it's page 202. Where it said, a highly embellished version of the Great Cape Destruction spread through the school faster than the white fires in her old city, and Sophie knew Keith had everything to do with it. Even her mentors heard about it. My dad, he read that, laughed out loud, which is very unusual for my dad, and I was like, what just happened? Like, he was, like, dying, and he was like, Keith told everyone about the Great Cape Destruction. That's totally something I would do. And it is, too. I remember thinking, like, right after I read that, being like, oh my goodness, that's my dad.
Okay, her dad will just randomly tell me, like, come in and just tell us stuff that just happened in the other room.
And we're like,
he's like,
what?
guys, Liam just, and I'm like,
I'll be like, oh wow, Liam just da-da-da-da-da.
See, I don't see her mom a lot, but your dad is always, like, following us around, telling us funny stuff.
Just randomly walking in the room, and we're like, hi again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then I didn't say this on 205 because I didn't notice it, but I wrote down, also, I wrote this down at 2 a.m. last night, but also, if a cool, cute, nice boy walked in the halls with me, I'd have a crush so fast. Like, listen, if someone offered to walk with me to the healing center,
and then they get there and they're just joking around with the physician, like, oh yes, I had to make sure.
Oh my gosh, I would be
I'll take a
head over heels in love just from that, just from them being kind, and then. Oh my gosh, I would.
Sydney's like dying, honestly.
I would. If they paid me that much attention, I would be in love. Anyway.
And right after this, this is like, I guess 3 pages after that last note where this made my dad laugh out loud. Where he says, or the sigh Sophie let out sounded more like a growl. What's wrong, Dex?
Wait, 3 pages after 1, 2, 3? Okay.
What's wrong, Dex asked, catching up to her. Bianna, I don't know what her problem is, but I'm really getting sick of it. She's just jealous. She's used to being the prettiest girl in school.
Oh, yep.
Again, I would die. And Sophie just like, okay, and leaves like right away. Literally me. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so we actually skipped one of mine because of the weird page difference. Why?
I have a very controversial statement to make in a moment.
Okay.
You guys are going to enjoy it.
We don't need the exact page number, but you know how they mention eyes, like that you can change your eye color with drops? I just wrote down conspiracy theory. The backers are just using teal eye drops.
I love it.
Yeah. They could have the ugliest, I don't know what an ugly shade of blue would be, but like the worst shade of...
I just put it to my chair, which is like the worst shade of blue.
Or like the dullest, darkest gray. I don't know. That would be kind of pretty. Yeah. I don't know.
Just they could have eye drops to make their eyes look teal.
And then they're like, we have to be iconic, so let's just like...
Every morning they just get up.
That's my headcanon.
I love it. I have so many headcanons. I can't even... We should just make an episode with all of our headcanons. That would be cool. I would have to make a list though. I'd have to take notes for a long time. And I'd probably make up some while I'm writing it. Anyway, 2 pages after Sophie dies inside, she finds Iggy. I'm about to make a controversial statement. Don't kill me. I promise I can sympathize. I can empathize with you if you like Iggy. But in my mind, Iggy's just a little overrated. Okay. I agree completely. Almost. Okay, overrated I agree with. I thought you were going to say something like I hate Iggy, he's so annoying. I don't think he's so annoying. I just don't care about him.
Yeah.
Like, if he died, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess we can't dye anything green anymore. Or ice blue. I guess we can't use anything else to test if Keeper Fitz is better.
Okay.
If he just, like, died of old age, I'd be like, oh, rest in peace, Iggy. Oh, well.
So, you should know, Jaycie has never had a pet.
I have not had a pet. Okay, yes. So it'd be a little different.
I have a bunch of pets.
So, I guess it would... But, like, think about Sophie. Like, she doesn't pay that much attention to Iggy as, like, her pet. She's just like, oh, he's that thing that lives at my house.
Well, you never know. He does sleep with her some and stuff like that. So, here's the thing. I would agree with you completely until I got a puppy who sleeps with me and is precious. And so now I'm like, animals. But yeah, Iggy, I do not care about Iggy's color, I'm sorry.
I can't keep up with it.
No, I can't keep up with it.
It changes so
And
much.
the art.
All
is
I
like,
know is that the ice blue Iggy won over the teal Iggy in the poll, and Shannon was like, "Wow!" Or it was, and then later Shannon was like, "Was you want a Keith quote first or a Fitz quote first?" And Keith like destroyed Fitz, and I was like, "I love democracy," which is a Star Wars quote for those of you who are like, "Why?" But yes, I was like, "I love democracy."
But other
than that,
you know how we get those Iggy things every year.
I do have like a collection of those.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm happy to have a collection of them.
But that just proves that I'm a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Iggy exists.
I can't find my collection. I hope they didn't get lost.
Mine is in my drawer.
Yeah, I hope they didn't get lost in the move. But anyway, the only reason I care about them is so I can prove I'm a fan.
Then the next thing, for me it's page 211, but it's when Adeline's just like touching Sophie's face. So
wait,
if any of you
211.
I don't know what page you're on anymore. But if any of you have seen How to Train Your Dragon, it's where Adeline's like touching Sophie.
Look at Iggy and this. Look how cute.
I mean,
Abby freaked out when she saw this because she loves cute things. Okay, read me a sentence on your page so I can find where you are.
The top of it is, Grady, we tame dinosaurs and yetis. So what was I gonna begin here with? Oh, right. If you've ever seen the How to Train Your Dragon, specifically the Race to the Edge series that was on Netflix, I don't know if it still is, but it was. And my siblings and I watched it a lot. It was awesome. But there's this one part where, like, Rough Nut or Tough Nut, like, touches the other's face, because that's how Hiccup tames dragons, you know? And they're like, we could tame each other. And then they're just, like, the twins are just, like, touching each other's face. Like, this is our thing now. We're Hiccup. And everyone else is like, what? But that's like, the sort of thing I'm picturing, because it's just, like, okay, it's like the
lost.
bottom of it. Go down a little bit. She placed a hand on Sophie's shoulder, and Sophie straightened. Sorry, do you mind? No, it's nice, Sophie whispered. It was the first time Adeline had touched her. Adeline held her breath as she used her other hand to brush a strand of hair off Sophie's cheek. Sophie closed her eyes and leaned into Adeline's hand. Her heart seemed to swell. I'm like, this is so dramatic. Ew, what? Am I the only one that found that, like, a little bit, like, ew?
Well, but if physical touch is your love language, it is
true.
Well, and I do like that our parents are like, let me hug you, not distant.
That hugging is one thing. Just touching someone's face, that's...
Well, but she says here, her heart almost seemed to swell inside her chest, filling an empty space she'd almost forgotten was there. Her human parents had been generous with hugs and touches, and she hadn't realized how much she'd missed those gestures.
Like,
I mean, it's a little weird, but, like...
I get it and I don't. Like, I would get it if Adeline was just, like...
for, like, a month. Nobody's touched you. It does just be...
I mean, maybe it's just
sad.
my brain.
I need a hug.
I think my brain...
Go hug Dex.
Well,
he
like,
has a crush on you.
Fitz hugged her. Alwyn hugged her.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Alden hugged her.
That was a while ago. At this point. It's been
Orly held her hand to read her emotions. Like, I don't know. People have touched her.
Okay.
Kenrick, like, patted her on the back.
I
can name... I don't know. I mean, I get it and I don't, because I'm just, like, if someone just, like, the stranger who had just adopted me, like, a day ago was just, like... I'd be like... And by the way, what I just did was brush my own hair off my face and then lean back and make a face. I'd be like, I mean, if they hugged me, that would be one thing.
No, but
if they just, like, touched my shoulder, that'd be another thing. But if they touched my face, I'd be like... Maybe it's just my brain connecting, like, romantic scenes to this sort of thing. But, like...
I see that.
It's just a little creepy in my brain. Maybe I'm just, like, scared of touching people. Well, no, because I like hugging people. That's different to me. Hugging people or touching their arm is different than their face. Their face is, like, romantic scenes.
Okay, well...
So this creeps me out.
Here's the thing. I don't think she leaves her hand there exactly.
She doesn't. I don't think she does.
Yeah, because then she just...
And she touches her face twice. Mm-hmm. She swept her... They're so analyzing this too much.
Yeah.
We are over
Here, let me just, like...
She's like...
Let's see how awkward this is, Jaycie. Let me just...
Jaycie has hidden her face behind the book. I
need, like, a doll to swipe... How? Okay, so you're just
and then on the next page,
I'm still trying to figure this out.
Sophie's cheeks still tingled where Adeline's fingers had left tiny
weird.
trails of warmth. She's allergic to Adeline.
Yeah, I did notice that was weird. I was like... Yeah, that's a weird sentence. I could do without that sentence.
I said,
It's now 4 a.m., guys.
My original comment was, am I the only one who's a little creeped out by this? And then like the emoji you can make if you have a capital O, a dot, and then a lowercase o, and it just looks really funny.
A capital O, a dot,
and the lowercase o. It's the funniest emoji I've ever seen. I used it one time for something that was really funny in context. And I just love the expression.
Okay.
It's like no mouth, so it's embarrassed, but it's also like.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Okay. And so, by the way, the reason Sydney went, oh, whoa. So, when the Wi-Fi in my house gets low, my lamps turn on and off because I have a, you know that Amazon person's name? If I say her name, she'll turn on. But, yeah, I have that connected to it with a smart plug. So, my lamps just randomly turn on and off. That thing. So my lamps will just randomly turn on and off whenever the Wi-Fi goes low, and it like scares people to death. But I've gotten immune to it by now. Anyway,
here's a cool note, which I'm just totally reading all the annotated edition. No, there's stuff I'm skipping. But this says, in earlier drafts, Sophie bought Iggy from a pet store in Atlantis. She found his cage buried in some dusty, forgotten corner and decided to buy him despite Grady and Adeline's warnings about how troublesome imps could be, because she felt sorry for the poor little creature that nobody wanted. But I decided I didn't believe that the elves would neglect a creature that way. So I tried having Sophie rescue Iggy instead. And not only was the scene way more interesting, but it created an awesome way to show Sophie and Adeline bonding.
Man.
More proof
Awesome.
that writing is rewriting. Don't be afraid to throw things out and try again.
So I'm skipping a bunch of stuff because I just realized that we're 2 hours in and like 1/3 of the way through the book. But book 1, Keef, is just kind of strange.
Don't skip it, actually.
Well, it's not important. It's not important stuff. It's just like little weird random things I noticed. But book 1, Keef, he's just like, he's weird. I guess it's because like he hasn't been developed and so all you see is his joking side. But to me, it's just like, this is why I didn't ship Keef Foster.
Yeah, that's why I said I like low-key kind of ship Dofi, just because it was an alternative to Fitzby.
And then the Alden meddling begins whenever,
Did you write that down too?
It's where she's like, whoa, you smell like focus. You smell like smoke. Is there a fire?
Oh, wait, what page is this?
This, for me, it's 242.
Okay.
It's way...
So that's gonna be, let's see.
And then, okay, so it's whenever Alden's kind of forcing Biana to be friends with Sophie, and it's like, Alden glanced at Fitz, who gave the slightest nod before he grinned at Keith. Sounds like someone's not happy about losing base quests. Go to page 27. That's my next note. Oh, unless you have a page before
Page 27?
Chapter. She just gave me a look, and I was like, wait.
No. Okay, we're 10 pages apart at this point.
Okay, I'm in chapter 27. That's my next note.
Okay.
And it's Dame Alina goes, is everyone excited for midterms? And it's like, yes, I'm so excited to be like, have my soul crushed in a test that determines pretty much my entire future, Alina. Thank you for asking.
Oh, and the whole thing with her cheating, Sophie cheating. That was so me. If I cheated, I would be like
dying by guilt by the end of the day.
Yes.
Oh, can you imagine if Sophie shattered right then? She has an impenetrable mind. She has an impenetrable mind, so no one would have been able to heal her. Can you imagine the Black Swan would have just been like, oops. Guess we made her a little too susceptible to that guilt. Probably should have thought that one out. I don't know. Made it a way for someone to unshatter her. We'll try again. But anyway, 10 pages after Alina's thing. 269. Lord Cassius, but do you really think I could be tempted back by a little girl, especially when performing so unremarkably in her sessions?
Oof.
That's where I was like, oh. And it's like Sophie knew that he was covering, but she still was like, oh. Also, in a page near this, I realized that Julie has blonde hair. And I pictured her with red hair until that moment. And I still do. I still picture her with straight red hair.
They talk about it so much.
I know, and it's like she looks like Sophie, and I'm like, how does she look like Sophie? I still picture her with, like, I can't picture her with curly blonde hair. I just picture Orly.
No, I don't think it's curly. I think it's like
since
loose
she had,
curls.
yeah.
That's how I imagine it. Like an American Girl doll. You know how those where they curl at the end of their hair?
Yeah.
I
don't know, man. I still picture her with straight red hair, like really straight. I showed you my picture of it, right? With Art Breeder. I'll show you later. Okay, and then I mentioned this in the Terracus Sus episode, but way later, whenever Sophie visits Tarek for the desk grind session, he's just, like, standing... It's like Tarek opened the door before they could knock.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wait,
creepy.
I have one here that I didn't...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 284 for me, so that would be 274 for you, I think. Where is it? Oh, okay, it's at the bottom of that. Morella gave her a variety pack of flavored air. You know how earlier she's, like, opening a can of flavored air and licks her lips?
She's like, do you want some? Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's the stupidest thing ever. You get a few seconds of taste.
I feel like canned air is the strangest part of the Elven world.
It'd be like perfume. Just give her perfume. Flavored air?
Eat it? Like, what?
You lick the air? That's... I don't understand. Are you, like, on a diet?
It feels like drugs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're either dieting so much you have to get the taste without eating anything. That's weird.
Which is bad.
Uh-huh. Or, yeah, you drugs.
Or you're on...
What? Morella's offering.
I mean, I feel like Morella would be that kid in the human world. I don't know. In the human world, I would be like, oh yeah, that fits our character. So Shan was probably just like, we have to make a 8 to 12-year-old version of this, and also in the Elven world where it's not harmful. We're just like flavored air. This is what happens when we record at 4:22 in the morning.
And Morella gave her a flavored air pack.
Here, you want to try it too? And Sophie never even does the flavored air thing, if you notice.
Oh my gosh.
Sophie's like, no, drugs are bad.
Why is it so funny? Because
Okay.
it's 4 a.m., that's why.
Like the emoji.
Why did we do this at 4 a.m.?
Because it's going to be hilarious for the people listening to this. Like, what are these psychos? I came here for real quality content, and I'm getting them laughing at O.O.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay, and when Sophie made the castle of Eternalia,
This is so fun. We should
you know
just do
the sandcastle of Eternalia?
Uh-huh.
The humans just walking on the beach must have been like, oh wow, what an autistic kid you have. And the human parents are just like, what on earth are you doing, Sophie?
Oh, okay, another thing, 288, which is close to her. Look at this picture, it's so cute.
No.
Okay, 288. I'm not sure where you're referencing at this
Just
point.
you reference and I'll reference, and we'll hear each other's. We'll
Because
just do
we're
that.
close, but it's hard to line it up. Okay, this Keith's gift. She ran back to the atrium to pick up Keith's gift, so she would be ready to go home. Inside her locker, she found a giant box of mood candy, a small black cube, and a note. For the mysterious Miss F. If you don't relax, this candy will always taste bitter, so snap out of it and try to stay out of detention. Okay, that's even thoughtful there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you gotta relax, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And Fitz just gives her a pen that he gives everyone else. But Keith is already, they're just friends, and he's already so sweet and thoughtful about it. He got Fitz a good present, too. I'm sure he got other people good presents also. But just if you don't relax, this candy will always taste bitter, so snap out of it. It's just...
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Keith's so
sweet
sweet.
and touching.
Keith's
If
so
someone
sweet.
gave me that, I would just
Listen,
be
the
like,
5 key aspects of Fitz Backer, I have some issues with the fact that Shannon's publisher put caring for Fitz. And
he gave her a pen, and Keith wrote this touching...
like, I edited in the words
personal-
more caring under Keith's.
Yeah, this personal little note, and he barely knows her.
I love it.
And he doesn't even, like, really like her.
Iconic.
I mean, I guess he likes her,
Well,
but...
probably.
Yeah, he does.
Because even because
Mhm.
at the end he's sad. Anyway.
But still, he doesn't have a crush on Fitz, and he gives him a, like, sweet...
True.
He's just a sweet guy. I would be so in love. Sorry.
Where is it? Oh, right. After Dex accidentally triggers Sophie's allergy, he comes in crying. And so we begin. So you know the limbium thing? So it's like, okay, Elwyn's like, okay, you guys can come in.
Where
he said,
are we?
Fitz and Dex, for me it's 3:36. I have no clue where it is for you, but they triggered her limbium allergy.
Wait, you skipped way far. I have a bunch of notes between now and then.
Go ahead on your notes then. My only note is like, Dex is crying because he accidentally did something that hurt Sophie. And so
Okay, we'll discuss that
So
in a
we
second.
begin.
Oh.
That's all I have for that. We can't say anything else than that.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Wait. I don't know how that connects.
Circle it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Dex is so Aiden. Okay. So mine is 291. So I think we're still... No, now it's be 11 pages ahead, I think. Because there was another picture.
Huh? Oh.
I'm 11 pages ahead of you.
Oh, wait, so you don't have a note yet?
No, I do 291.
Oh. Gotcha.
Okay, so you'd be 280.
Alright.
I think.
Whoa. Alright, what was it?
I just thought it was interesting that Alvar calls the Black Swan a conspiracy theory repeatedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I feel like I have this in a different section.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this note is interesting. Shannon's note says, on my website, I've drawn the sign of the swan as a whole swan because it's more recognizable. But really, for practicality, it looks more like this. I'll show it to you and then describe it. So just imagine you take the swan, the symbol that's on Shannon's website, and you cut off the whole body of the swan. And it's just the neck. That's what she says is the actual
sign
of the swan that they would use quickly. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess the whole thing still counts. But that's what she...
I like that, because it's like one stroke.
Yeah, which is like the fires.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Adeline's strangled sound on page... okay, that's way forward. So
Wait.
We'll go to 342.
I have more on 304.
Okay.
I'll tell you when I get to... Yeah, I have a bunch in between now and yours.
Alright.
Okay,
I have
so
a
just
couple of
hold yours.
things.
Look at the cute illustration.
Aw.
Okay. I just have ew, the Dex fee is so cringe. I vaguely remember almost shipping them. Yeah. Oh, Shannon's note on this page. Oh, it's not actually
there.
that good. I'm not gonna read it.
My computer's almost dead. While you read your notes, I'm just gonna plug it in.
Yeah, that'd be probably smart.
Probably.
If it died right now, would that be a huge problem?
Yeah.
It's
okay, keep reading. No, I have like 14%.
Okay.
It's not like 1%.
My anxiety just skyrocketed. Okay. Oh, okay, so this is where they're talking about Elementine.
Mm-hmm.
And how she bottled it. And it's just the way Elwyn's talking, he says, don't worry about it. It gives me a good story to tell tomorrow. And then she sighed, Morella and Keith are going to have a field day with this. It's funny because we don't see Morella and Keith like paired together much, but they'd so similarly be like, guys, did you hear about this? Mm-hmm. And the way she's just like, oh my gosh, I knew what's gonna happen tomorrow.
Do you have any others for before? Basically
310. Oh yeah, okay, so it's where Sophie, they're doing the starlight. Wait. Oh, okay, they're waiting on the grass after Elwyn leaps away to go get another salve. And they're arguing about fits and just the fact that they're ripping up grass.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Okay, that's what I do, is just rip up grass.
Okay, I have a word to say. So, at the end of the book, I don't know if it's mentioned at the very beginning of it, because I learned at the very end of book 1, but it's like they didn't want to cut down Sophie's and Dex's Wonderlings because they didn't want to kill an innocent tree or something like that. And so in my mind, elves have this thing about like killing anything. Mm-hmm. That's my only comment. Like just seeing Sophie and Dex rip up the grass, I was just like, wait a second.
Well, but then also
like you're going to kill some
natural.
grass and stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I was also like, I wonder like if people with more like guilt would be like get to the point where even ripping up grass and make them cringe.
I'll do that to myself sometimes.
Like
I'm like, don't hurt the tree.
Don't do anything, right? Don't hurt the tree. Don't punch the poor innocent tree.
But also, if I'm sitting down having an awkward conversation with someone
I would
where
totally,
I'm angry, I'm ripping up grass, messing with leaves.
I like how Shannon really uses the actions.
Yes.
Like,
I wish I could do that.
That's something that my professor, because I'm in an acting class, brings up a lot. Is like, you need to incorporate action. Don't just sit there and recite the monologue, you know. Get into the character's headspace. Would they be walking around? Maybe they'd be pulling on, you know, the fabric of their dress or something. Like, kind of get in that headspace. So, yeah, I really like Shannon's writing style.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And I just wrote down, like, in all caps, Sophie and Dex ripping up grass while talking, arguing is so accurate. 314. Oh, that's a spoiler. That's also a spoiler. 320 is when I was like, Bront is such a jerk, and he has no explanation for it. Where is it?
Oh, is this in the...
Oh, right here where Emery, they're arguing about the starlight. Enough, Emery ordered, holding his hands out like stop signs after what felt like an eternity. We have reached a decision. It's not unanimous.
And he glared at Bronze. Yeah.
But for the situation, it does not need to be. Like, why is he such a jerk for no reason?
What page is that for you?
320.
So it'd be, 310 for me?
Yeah, check and see if that's right. No, 39.
Oh, I just found Orly's name. Hold on. It's gonna be close to this. And oh right. Oh no, I have a lot of notes on this in the spoiler section. Yeah, got it. Okay, sorry. So later, mine is 342, so it's 3.
Okay, I still have a few until then. Sorry.
Okay,
I have so many right here for some reason. Okay, the sandcastle thing.
That's what I said. Her parents must have been like, "Wow, we have an artistic kid."
Oh yeah, But the way it's like, she recognized that castle. She'd been inside it this afternoon. The twisted turrets, the sweeping arches, and all of that. I just love that from a writing perspective because she brings in the photo album with her. It's like, what was it? It
all works together.
There's a name for it, but have you heard about the rifle on the wall writing thing? Basically, there's some writing, in parentheses, rule, of course not really, but where if you introduce something, it should play, like, that comes up.
It should become important.
Like, if there's a rifle on a wall in a story, it needs to go off at some point in the story. Otherwise, why would you put that in to, like, lead people astray? Is the example I've heard. And so I like that she drops the photo album in there, and then it comes up. Like, that's really cool, because she even highlights it with Dex looking through it and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yep. Shanna's note even says, I love that dun-dun-dun feeling that comes when I finally get to pay off a major clue I'd planted earlier in the story.
Cool. I'm just sitting here with it's a completely pointless note, but it's like I'm waiting so long.
I'm almost there. And then I just said the tone of the book really switches halfway through, I noticed.
That's true, because, like basically that castle thing, it's like where she realizes, wait a second, maybe Quinlan was right. Maybe I am the greatest keeper.
It's like here, because before this,
it's like Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
And this is where it turns to Lord of the Rings.
Because I've been listening to it with my sister, and I've been like, okay, there's no plot here. It's just fun. And then halfway through, I noticed, I haven't read this with her yet, but halfway through, it just gets tense. It's like a switch.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah. What's yours?
Mine is just the beginning of chapter 36. I'm going to just read it really quick because it's not going to matter if it's in the right order. A high-pitched screech like tires squealing across pavement mixed with hundreds of shrieking girls jolted Sophie out of her dreams. I need you to know that if a high-pitched screech like tires squealing across pavement mixed with hundreds of squeaking girls ripped me out of my dreams, I'd be like, that's it. That's today.
Who made that noise?
Not gonna, it was a pterodactyl.
Wow.
I would, like, murder the said pterodactyl. I would be so, like, mad and just, like, put off for the rest of the day. Like, are you kidding me? I got woken up. And I mean, like, my alarm clock makes an awful noise. Like, it sounds like the exorcism of demons screaming, but a screeching tire, screaming girls. I'm not even kidding. I'm gonna set my alarm now and let you listen to it in the morning.
No.
It's like scary.
Don't.
Like, Michaela's been sleeping in my room. That's one of my sisters. She's been sleeping in my room for several nights now. And every morning I have that alarm set, almost every morning, because, you know, I have to get up early for stuff. And she'll just, like, sit up and glare at me until I turn it off because it's shocking. That kept happening to me, yeah. I think it's just, like, kind of a tired thing. Yeah, it is 4:36 in the morning.
Okay. So I have more.
Cool.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
343, I wrote down the quote, alchemy was her worst subject, and she also struggled with elementalism and PE. All subjects where she had to do things, not learn. That's INFJ proof. Page 350, which I don't know where that's going to be for you, because there's probably... it's okay. We can do disparities and they can just be kind of close to each other. There's something interesting here. Oh, okay, here it is. Where she threw up on Fitz, and she says, I'm sorry, Fitz. I can't believe I He held up his hands and smiled his dazzling smile. Don't worry about it.
Dazzling.
It wasn't nearly as bad as the time Alvar's pet raptor peed all over me. Now that was disgusting. That's funny. I didn't even notice that.
I just love that.
But I just
It's
wrote down.
No, it's alright that you threw up all over me. Actually, another animal actually peed on me the other day, so I forgive you.
Another animal?
A different species. It's a bit more disgusting whenever two older brothers raptor and not, an elf, so you're forgiven.
Yeah,
but only because the raptor peed on me.
I wrote down here, points to Fitz for being so chill in this book. Because he is kind of chill.
Is.
But then, I got to the bottom, I read 2 sentences later, and it goes, he says, "You don't need to be. I'm just glad you're okay and I was there to help." Dex reeled on Fitz. "I didn't need your help." Fitz, "Please, you never would have made it in time." And I was like, I take back my point.
I mean, he's
He's
right.
kind of chill.
He's right.
If someone threw up on me, I would be like, it's fine. It's fine.
I'd be like...
I mean, I guess if they were gonna die.
I would try to be like, it's fine, but in my head I'd be like, no, it's not. It is not fine.
Well, if they were gonna die, I'd probably, but,
The boys are sleeping.
Oh,
Sorry. But yeah, I don't do gross stuff, so I'd probably die. That's
Where's
the thing.
your next note?
For me, it's page 354.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Next?
This is where Fitz, I believe, says, Fitz says, no reason to worry, basically. He says, oh yeah, I'm sure there's no reason to worry. She rolled her eyes. He sounded just like his dad. He looked really stressed, Fitz. I've never seen him like that. Do you know what he's working on? Sophie's talking to Fitz about Grady. And I'm just like, I feel like all Fitz does is copy everyone else. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just laughing because you already said it.
Yeah.
Not like I would have more to say, but we already said it. Okay, so 374 is where they're talking about who is this? Grady? Is it Grady? No, it's Alden. She's asking him about Everblaze, and she's like, where is it?
Is it where he's like, Sophie, you have no idea how grave this accusation is.
Oh, okay, here it is. She forced herself to meet his eyes. The fires are Everblaze, aren't they? I'm afraid they might be, but I've been overruled on that opinion. Overruled? He rose to pace. The council doesn't believe it's possible. And then they keep talking about that.
I love how they talk about the council like all of them have the same opinion.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't notice my first read through on book 1, so you guys are probably like, what are you talking about? Of course they do. Trust me, they don't.
True. Yeah, but then he talks about the council and how the council doesn't want to see if it's Everblaze. The council doesn't believe it's possible. And I just wrote down, just send one of the counselors to investigate, you idiots. It's not that hard.
One of the counselors does investigate mostly on their own. I'll explain that in the spoiler section.
Oh,
This is part of my theory.
But anyway, I'm like...
That was my stomach.
It's not that hard to just check.
Right.
Same
thing with the DNA test. It's not that hard.
Yeah, this child has to go do your job for you and throw it at your feet. Here's the Everblaze.
What else do you need?
Just check. It's not that hard, y'all. Sorry, that just made me mad.
That's the sort of stuff that makes my dad mad about the council. Yeah. He's like, they're so incompetent. They won't even
It's not even that hard. It's fine.
No, you're good. That's a good observation. Any others before? For me, it's page 410, so it'd be 420 for you.
Yes, I have more.
Cool.
This is also one I just wrote down. 379.
Wait, what? Hold on. For some reason, I had a note for page 410, but then I go back and I have notes for 365 and stuff.
Oh, whoa. Oh, I wondered why you didn't have any notes. Are you sure they're not spoilers?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because this is 37 through 49, so this is my last section. Oh, with 365, it's where they're like, Sophie, Alden's like, no matter what time it is, make sure you call me. So Alden's just really nice in this book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then, later, another note from Grady and Adeline waited for her on the table. On errands. Be back later. 5 words this time. More than double the last note. Maybe that was a good sign. Just the way they shut her out of their life would hurt so much after trying to trust them and having to uproot her whole life.
And that whole weird scene with Adeline.
Right. Training the dragon with Adeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then 368. I just said I second that. Oh, in accordance with your request, adoption proceedings for Sophie Foster have been canceled. By the way, I felt that panic when, like, Iggy shredded the note. She was like, oh no, how am I going to explain this? I didn't even look at it. I'm going to be blamed for it. And then she's just like, well, I might as well look at it if I'm going to be blamed for it.
Are you sure that's 360?
Yeah, it's 360. I had to go back a little bit. For me, it's 360.
Huh. Okay, interesting.
Sorry, where are you?
It must be just the difference.
My next one is, like, 370. I just put door slammed.
Why are the lights
It's
blinking?
Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi in this room. I told you that.
I know, but like, that was a lot of blinking.
It does it a lot. It's very normal. But yeah, because the Wi-Fi doesn't reach my bedroom, and so like it's a normal thing for me to just have to leave my room because I can't connect. It's awful. Anyway, she becomes very like cold and logical, which by the way fits her personality type perfectly. Like right after Grady and Adeline canceled the adoption, because she's very similar to me.
See,
and
for
Sydney.
me, it's a few pages ahead,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, or behind you
Mm-hmm.
somehow. See, are you sure?
Okay, this is like the end of the adoption. This isn't whenever they first start shutting her out. This is like whenever she reads the actual letter. The adoption proceedings for Sophie.
See, I
Foster
have
have been canceled.
page 379 here. Oh, it's literally right before
I'm on
that.
368, and you're on 379. So yours.
Oh,
is...
okay, yeah. So mine is literally for me right before what you're talking about.
Okay.
I just have that quote where she says she wasn't sure what the problem was, but she needed to find a way to fix it before it drove a wedge between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's such an INFJ thing. I would be like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the problem? I have to fix
Sydney
it.
and
It's not my fault.
For those
Fix
of you
it.
who have just read book 1 and you're listening to this because you're like, oh, cool, no spoiler episode, finally. Yeah, Sydney and I both have the same personality, like Myers-Briggs type, INFJ, and Sophie really seems to have the same type as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think Shannon does too.
Yeah. And so, just like that mental note, okay, there's something wrong in this relationship. I need to take time to fix it. I have like 4 of those right now just waiting to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. And then
Even though it's
next
not my
part-
fault, I gotta fix it.
Right. The Sophie Foster adoption
Gorgeous
proceedings
horse.
for Sophie Foster have been canceled. I love the writing right after this. It's like really haunting. Like it's beautiful. The word rang in her ears, pounding with every heartbeat. Canceled, canceled, canceled. As in started, then stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was just like
I noticed that too.
I was like I love it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
This writing style. Okay, trying to see. My next one's on 382. Do you have anything before that?
Technically mine is before with our weird page numbers. So
Like
yes.
it would be 392 for you, yeah. Or you can
Mine's
just catch up, too.
388. So yeah, it's
so go
technically
ahead.
before yours.
It is. It's still like before it.
So wait, it's not 388. Oh yes, it is. Okay, she's talking to Keith. I'll just read their dialogue. What are you still doing here, Foster? He asked.
Oh, I know this part.
What did I say here? Oh, don't tell me you had to go to the healing center again. Nope, just lost track of time. He fanned the air. Phew, those are some pretty strong emotions. Can't tell what they are, but they don't feel good. She looked away, avoiding his close scrutiny. I'm assuming you don't want to talk about it? She stared at the ground, and I doubt I'll be able to guess, so I'm not sure where that leaves us. Havenfield, she commanded, glad her voice held steady. She could see him shrug out of the corner of her eye. Candleshade, he called. Their eyes met as the crystal spun overhead. Well, I hope you have a good night, he said as he stepped toward his beam of light. Don't worry, I won't. It's just, they don't have trust yet, but you can tell he wants to be trusted and wants to help her already.
And they both think about it from each. I could just picture this so clearly. Like they need to put me in charge of the film, honestly. I'm so, but like I can picture like they're just both standing there. And Keith's like, so you're still here too? And Sophie's like, yeah. They're both dreading going home to face their parents, and they're just like, yeah. And so they're just standing there, because neither of them want to face their parents, and so they're just looking at the crystals, and then they just slowly command it,
and Keith
and then their
feel
eyes just meet, and he can feel her dread,
emotions,
right? So
and
he
so
can feel
he
the
knows
dread
that they're like having the same emotions, and so. Because I just wrote down he wants to comfort her but doesn't know how yet.
But he feels like he feels what she feels, and he's like, oh no, you're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, I hope you have a good night. Like,
and Sophie's just like in her own world.
She doesn't even realize there's more to him, but she's just like, oh yeah, you too. Or she's like, I won't. But he's like, oh whoa, she's so similar to me. Like, I wonder what she's going through. But he's also like, I don't know her that well, so I'm not going to be nosy. So, but they just kind of there. And he's like,
he doesn't have her trust, which is why It's kind of similar to the end of Exile.
But they're just kind of there, and
Yeah.
they're just like, I can just picture like the camera like coming, like from one of their faces to the other, and they just like look at each other and then look at the crystals.
When we get
And
to
you just see them
Exile,
step into the light at the same time.
when we get to Exile, remind me to compare this scene to scenes in Exile.
All right. Anyway, I just can picture it so vividly, just like the pained expressions and everything. Anyway, the necklace with Keith.
Wait.
She's. I don't know if this is ahead or behind for you, but it's page 382 for me. So it'd be like 392 for you. But she's like, Keith, how did you get in my locker? And he's like, I never reveal my secrets. And he's like, okay, fine, it was already open. She's like, what? I never leave my locker open. You must have. All I did was open it the rest of the way and drop my gift off. The faint blush on his cheeks implied he was telling the truth, but it didn't make sense. So, by the way, that blush. I just love that. Every once in a while, he gets like shy. And he's like, "No, I'm not lying. I wouldn't do anything weird."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Sorry. Thanks for the candy and necklace." Necklace? Yeah. You really didn't have to do that. Good, because I didn't. I just love how deadpan that is.
Yes.
Good, because I didn't. She's like, huh?
That's great.
Give it time, Sophie.
391, Shannon's note is good. Do you want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's, right when, where is it? Oh, right after she sees, sorry, I lost my place. Okay. Right after she sees Grady and Adeline, being upset about how she reacted to them not adopting her.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes back to bed, and it's basically like, it was almost enough to make her forgive them. Almost. For now, it was easier to try to forget them. So you've just seen Grady and Adeline have this pain, and then Shannon's note says, "It's so hard for me as a writer to let my characters hurt like this. In fact, I remember crying super hard as I wrote this chapter, and it still makes me teary-eyed every time I read it. But part of staying true to the story means letting characters make mistakes, letting them ache and grieve and say or do painful things. You can't protect them. You have to just capture what they're feeling, suffer with them a little, and then keep going." I thought it was really cool.
Nothing.
Jaycie's typing something.
We'll get to that. My next. Oh, I do need to look at my notes to know what my next page is going to be.
Okay.
Sorry, that's going to be for the spoiler half, but those of you who have read further are going to know exactly what I was thinking there. Make mistakes, yeah. Where was I? 384 is my next note. I know exactly what it is. So, are you kidding? To be honest, like, oh, I wouldn't be the only girl if we adopted you. That'd be awesome. You have no idea what it's like to have two brothers. And Sophie looks at Fitz and he's like, of course I don't mind. You're already like my little sister. This would just make it official. And she's like, oh.
I literally just have sister with like the some capitalized letters like sister.
Hopefully I'm guessing that changed at some point. I don't know. Fitz v. Shippers,
Well,
that's a little...
Make a note to talk about it in spoilers.
I probably did.
Are you sure? They're talking about, she's talking to Alden about the fires again. I know, but are you looking into it? I'm doing what I can. The council banned anyone from going near the fires, even those of us with licensed pathfinders. So until they lift that restriction, my hands are tied. Why would they do that? They're trying to stop the conspiracy theories from spreading any more than they already have. What if it's not a theory? What if it is Everblades? It could destroy the world. The council's the problem here. Jaycie's doing something, so she's not listening to me.
I was listening. The Everblaze thing.
Literally, the council is the real problem.
I got a whole other comment about that, but again, spoiler section.
She has to do this whole Brave thing, and it has nothing to do with the Never Seen. It just has to do with the... I mean, it does. But it has to do with the council. The council could have figured it out by then. But they literally just wouldn't send someone to check. Because they think the world is so perfect.
Perfect. Oh, let me say that in a Vacker accent. So my next note is on 389 in the normal edition, and it's like, where is it? It's Alden talking to Sophie. Della and I would love to have you live with us. I'm still getting everything approved by the council, but Kenrick is confident he can overrule Braun's objection. And I can just picture, like, because there's a few conversations between Alden and Kenrick personally, like, mentioned and that you kind of see snippets of. But I can just imagine that, like, Kenrick and Alden are such good friends because, like, Kenrick supports Sophie a lot in this book. And in the spoiler section, I might say a little bit more about this.
Yeah.
But I can just picture, like, Kenrick being like, okay, so here's what the council said. But, like, if Sophie doesn't want to do this or if you think this is a bad idea, just, like, tell me and I could probably convince the council to not do it. And Alden's just like, thank you, friend.
Yeah. And then I mentioned earlier when Jaycie and I were talking about this, that one of Shannon's notes says that she spent a lot of time on the connections between the adults before she realized it would be backstory. And so she knows a lot about friendships that we don't. So it's definitely going to be in there. That's one thing. She specifically said that. And then I had for 404, okay, it's right after what you said. Why does Bront object? Half a smile crept from the corner of his mouth. He doesn't trust me, and he's never trusted you given your past. So the idea of us living together, why doesn't he trust you? And then Alvar says something like, probably because my father's off chasing phantom rebels. Yeah, that's what he says, because I just read it. Anyway, but for some reason, Bront doesn't trust Alden.
Well, that's because Bront was like, Project Moonlark's not a thing. And then set up the secretary, remember, in that front room, to, like, spy on Alden because he knew Alden was doing treasonous activities. And actually, it's because intentionally.
Yeah.
Just remember, I'm going to put a note, Bront doesn't trust Alden, and I will explain very clearly. But I know an exact quote. I know why Bront doesn't trust Alden.
Okay, because I don't remember that. It didn't connect for me.
Okay. Bront. Do you have any others close to that?
Not for 20 pages.
Alright, my next note is on, let's see, I need to figure out my page number because I don't remember. Oh. That's it. Okay, this one is not a spoiler, but one note I have next is, so 393 and Dex is like, yeah, you just have a mega crush on Fitz. And then, like, everyone around her hears and starts laughing. I had a moment, like, in my real life like that happen, and I was like, it wasn't about, like, a crush, but it was just, like, a bunch of people were listening and I didn't realize were listening, and I was talking, and I was like, so, Sophie, I feel for you, I'm sorry. That's all I have.
Yeah, right here. I'll just read the dialogue again. I hope so, because there's no way I can protect you from the council. I can, Grady interrupted, a wild look in his eyes. Grady, Alden warned. No, it's not her fault, it's mine, Grady shouted. I mesmerized her into doing it. The words rang through the room as everyone stared at him. No, you didn't, Sophie argued. I didn't even see you this morning. You did. You just don't remember it because I told you to forget it. Desperation filled his tone, begging her not to protest. And then it just keeps going, and he keeps insisting on it, and even Adeline goes along with it. And so you said earlier that you don't know
how she let them back in by the end.
And then I pointed to this because Adeline, like, even... I think you should listen to him, Sophie, Adeline stammered. Every word seemed to steal her strength as she spoke it. Grady's right. So she's, they're trying to cover for her. Like, Grady's willing to go to exile. Is it exile? Yeah. They mentioned exile. Yeah. He's willing to go to exile for her. And so after seeing that was
kind
pretty
of what
dramatic.
Changes her, yeah. And then, of course, the whole ending where she's captured and all. My next note, it's really random, but it's like where the backers are being like exposed for just being friends with Sophie because Alden forced them to.
What page is this?
It's just a vague like collection of pages, but it's like where everyone is. But it's like specifically on 415, Keith's very convinced that Fitz is nice. He was like, no, Fitz would never do that. He wouldn't just be your friend because Alden said he was really your friend. And Fitz is just like, well, actually. And so we began twice. And so we began on the Alden meddling, and so we began on Keith's endless trust of Fitz. But back to your notes. That's basically my last one until, like, the very ending on 478.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a ton, so, 425, I just put LOL Alden and Sophie because, Alden sighed and turned to Sophie. I'm not sure how the Black Swan convinced you to do this, Sophie, but you can promise me you won't do anything else they ask you to do? I promise.
She can't promise that.
I'm going to try and believe that. I'm really sorry, Alden. I won't break another promise. I hope not. And so it begins.
So it begins.
And then, this isn't really a spoiler, so 429, Oh, the whole thing of where Alden told Bianna. Yeah, it's the thing you just mentioned. Told Bianna to be friends with Sophie. And I was like, Alden was meddling even here.
Yep, Alden meddling begins. That's the thing.
Okay. Then where Keith is basically trying to cover for Fitz, like you were saying. He says, "Better leave her alone," Keith said, pulling Fitz away. He glanced over his shoulder as he dragged Fitz down the hall, his eyes asking if she would be okay. Okay, first of all, Keith. And then also Shannon's note says, "Despite all his teasing and jokes, Keith really can be quite insightful when he wants to be." And I just wrote down, Shannon, we know this. We know.
Don't say.
Okay. 431 hit me hard. It's when she's throwing rocks in the cave right before the kidnapping.
I know exactly that part, yeah.
Yep. And it just says, "She buried her face in her hands and gave in to them, letting the violent sobs shake her body. She felt Iggy trembling next to her, frightened by her irrational behavior, but she didn't care. Her life had officially fallen apart. She had no friends, no family, facing exile and expulsion. She was totally and completely alone." That, hit me this time.
Yeah.
Because this last year has been really hard for me. And so I can relate. Obviously, I didn't lose everybody. But, I lost a lot of friends this year over stuff like that and felt really alone at times. And so that I just wrote down.
Sad moment. There are, really sad parts in the series if you really, tune into a character's emotions.
Yeah, I can just imagine, though, she had
She
lost her
lost
human
families.
family, then lost her second family, so she has no family.
The family that she would be able to go to, the Vackers, didn't really even like her.
She felt lied to by them.
She was forced to by...
them. Dex was mad at her for spending time with the Vackers. She had Keith, but she didn't trust
she
him.
didn't trust him enough then.
Morella and Jaycie, were they mad too? They might.
Well, she kind of accidentally yelled at Morella and Jaycie. She yelled at Morella and Jaycie, and they were like, "Ooh, watch out."
Yeah, so all of that was coming crashing down. She was, like it says, facing exile and expulsion. She would either be expelled from Foxfire and lose connection, or exiled. She was totally and completely alone.
And then she gets captured.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't alone
And
because
tortured.
Dex is coming to.
Right. So Dex kind of forgives her, and then they have a near-death experience and end up being friends.
432. Where Dex comes, he says, "Sophie, are you in here? Fitz told me I should come find you." That's
Fitz, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. Is Fitz must have been that's good relational character development.
Yeah.
For Fitz to go to Dex after the whole death thing and be like, "Dex, I need you to go to Sophie
make sure
for
she's
me
okay.
and make sure she's okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just imagine. Yeah, I wonder if Fitz had big.
Oh, I love that. I didn't notice that.
I never noticed that before. That's not really important. Oh, the kidnapper. She says, "You kill innocent children and don't even have the guts to show your face. Innocent. Innocent. If you're so innocent, how did you know the location of Elementine?" And then he goes on and on about how she's not innocent. So she wasn't talking about herself. She was talking about Dex because he just threatened to kill Dex. You dummy. Sorry. Shannon's note here is cool. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but you don't have to know.
I don't have anything. I'm just listening.
So Shannon's note here is very interesting because she asks the kidnapper, "Wait, aren't you part of that Black Swan?" And he laughs. And her note says, "For the first 3 books in this series, there are so many mysteries within mysteries that I used to have to send my editor a special file to read after she finished the draft, but before she wrote up her edits. I called it the What's Really Going On file because it called out which secrets were truths and which were intentional misunderstandings. So she knew the full scope of my plans and could better spot any plot holes."
I love it.
Yeah. 456. It's when they're about to leap from,
This is where you're like, how did the random human...
First of all, the random human thing. And then also, she says, "Well, we can't do it until sunrise." She pointed to the angle of the crystal, which clearly needed the dawn light to create a path. Does that mean you can't leap at night?
No, it's just because of the way the crystal's set in the lantern versus like having a Pathfinder that you can turn around.
Okay, you're right. Because I didn't notice like the angle thing until now. So when they're fighting the kidnappers, Dex hadn't said a word since the kidnappers appeared. Sophie figured he was in shock, but he must have been channeling because in one rapid burst he ripped apart his bonds and jumped free. "Duck, Sophie," he screamed. And then Shannon said, "I always want to shout, 'Go, Dex,' when I read this sentence. So proud of my brave boy." And I never really noticed that before, but like it is pretty epic. He's just like...
Also, just like Incredible Hulk breaks his bonds and runs away.
And then I put, imagine watching the inflicting scene through security cameras.
Like,
Wait, no, they had obscures, didn't they?
The Never Seen did, but not Sophie and Dex. All of a sudden they just like fall down and have seizures, and these guys are just like...
And disappear.
Right, and then they just disappear.
462, the descriptions of fading are so poetic. The light was a force, battering her, pulling and pushing in so many different directions. She couldn't tell if she was being ripped apart or crushed.
And then eventually when she gives into the light, it's like she gave in to the gentle, whatever it was.
And even just lightly being like, the scenery glittered in around her. Yeah. 462, how she's saying sorry as she dies. She's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't wait for you to get your fits," as she's dying.
I'm sorry I died. It was an accident.
It's just funny, like a Sophie thing to be like, "I'm sorry." She's dying. I just put, wait, she was asleep for 2 weeks, and I wait 3.5. 470, Keith is just hiding behind humor, and I basically said, "Oh, baby Keith was scared to show emotion, honestly." Dex stomps in. I don't know why I thought that was funny. And then also they talk about how Iggy was there right before the wave happened, and he left to go find Adeline. Thank goodness they didn't like wipe out Iggy with the wave, and then she lost her pet. She also, when she wakes up to see Sandor, she goes to sleep and then wakes up to find Sandor hovering over her bed. She doesn't know who he is.
I would die.
So she
we're back.
What?
I'd be like, no, looking up at Sandor.
Oh, yeah. 492, where Sophie says she wasn't sorry for what she'd done, and she wouldn't pretend otherwise, or Riley would know she was lying anyway. It's like, I love how she's not sorry.
I got some comments, too.
And then 497 is what I was talking about earlier, where, who is it? One of her mentors is like, "Sophie successfully bottled a sample of Everblaze, something I doubt even I could have done. It would be absurd to give her anything less than 100% in elementalism." And then I was like, Sophie did not bottle the Everblaze. The pterodactyl did. The Flareodon.
The Flareodon.
She literally gave Gildy a bottle and told her what to do with her mind.
Gildy was like, "Let me use my my super flexible hands to bottle some Everblaze."
She literally just told Gildy to go back.
She's like, "Just fly a few times, I don't know."
See, it was brave, but it wasn't a show of
right
whatever
elementalism.
Yeah.
And in that same scene where it's like Bront opened his mouth and Emery cut him off. "Your suggestion has been noted, Counselor Bront." He's just like, "We get it. Leave me alone." Like,
I wrote down Bront, so I bet that's the same thing.
And then so I have like an imagery. So I don't know where Sydney found this, but there's like an explanation of what a selkie is at some point somewhere.
Yes.
A seal, snake, penguin. I need you to know that I'm picturing right now like a seal, but like a long seal, like long like a snake, and it has like a pointed tail like a snake too, but the rest of its head is normal, and it has the seal flippers too. It also has penguin feet, so it has seal flippers, penguin feet, snake, like a long snake-like body, but still with seal skin, the giant round penguin eyes, a forked tongue like a snake, a penguin beak, and a penguin tail sticking up from it. Not where the snake tail goes, but like sticking straight up from its back. A penguin tail. Like those feathers. It's got feathers on top of its seal skin.
That's awful.
It's like a crocodile, but like with big eyes, a beak.
Oh my gosh.
Big eyes, a beak, and feathers.
Here I am picturing a really cute seal with a long tail that has like feathers like a penguin, or like flippers like penguin flippers. See? It's like weird, but not that weird.
I'm scared.
By what? A really cute seal?
No, I'm scared of myself.
come from in your brain?
I'm just like, if you say snake seal
I
penguin,
tried to mesh it together pretty, and you're just like, stick the random parts wherever they fit.
It just looks scary to me. Anyway, do you have more actual notes?
Not really. They weren't important.
Cool. Well, I guess that sums up our thoughts on book 1.
Mhm.
Our non-spoilery thoughts.
It's now like 5 a.m.
But anyway, yes, thank you for listening to our random thoughts on book 1 without spoilers, and hopefully we edit all the spoilers out and don't get killed by people who thought it was spoiler-free. I will spend a lot of time editing to be sure that we get all the spoilers out, because we also will have to choose things to be like, yeah, Jaycie, you probably shouldn't, Jaycie, honey, the council's not that important in book 1. So anyway, yes, thank you for listening, and bye guys!
Thank you, bye!
Thank you for listening to the Forbidden Cities podcast. Leave us a review and tell a friend about the podcast if you liked us. Email us with comments and episode suggestions at theforbiddencitiespodcast@gmail.com, and to follow us on Instagram, just search @Forbidden Cities Podcast.